5 keys, 2 swords, 3 watches.
Yeah.
And how many horses?
4.
Yes!
Oh, they're having so much fun.
This is how burglars truly operate as well. They go into multiple buildings to get access. This is a video that I have wanted to make for a while. Since 2007, the world has gone from having 0 escape rooms to upwards of 50,000, representing a brand new kind of game design that is constantly evolving as all of these rooms race to outdo one another. We're going to take you inside a room titled Loot the Lanes from Brighton-based company Peer Pressure, which won Best Escape Room in the United Kingdom for 2 years running. We're going to show off its most brilliant puzzles and learn from the team behind it how you build and operate a world-class escape room. To state the obvious, this video will contain spoilers for Loot the Lanes, but probably not as many as you'd expect. One of the first things we learn from Peer Pressure is that great escape rooms aren't, in fact, defined by their secrets. We should also mention that the footage you'll see in this video of our team playing the room was filmed in December, before the UK entered its recent coronavirus lockdown. And with that, let's begin. How do you build a truly world-class escape room? Well, it all starts with immersion. To start work on their set, Peer Pressure ripped up the room's floorboards to reveal the historic cobblestones underneath. They created fake signage and fake branding for all of their fake shops, and not only did they commission a carpenter to build them a red British phone box, they salvaged and reprogrammed an old payphone.
So yeah, it's those little details that just make it feel real. It feels like you're using a real telephone. When you speak to Betty, it's a different character to the ordinary host.
One early puzzle in Loot the Lane sees a player trying to get access to a shop by calling up the owner and pretending to be an electrician, which feels completely plausible, even though the shop isn't real, she isn't real, and the phone isn't real.
Hello, Betty speaking.
Hi, Betty. It's Chris here, the Lecky.
By the time the room was dressed, props were bought, puzzles were commissioned, microphones and cameras were installed and plugged into a control room that also had to be built. The total build cost was £60,000, which apparently isn't that much.
We went to play one of the games that was in the top 10 in Vienna in Austria, and that was a €300,000 creation. That's the kind of direction we need to go in if we want to be hitting those top 10 spaces.
But building an escape room that's truly immersive isn't just time-consuming and expensive. It also has to dictate how you design the room's puzzles.
Oh, let's go into an antique shop. What would there be in an antique shop? There'd probably be clocks, there'd probably be mirrors. Let's see which of these we can turn into a puzzle.
So why do any of this in the service of immersion? Why not just chuck some sand on the floor, tell players they're in a pirate's basement and pocket the remaining 40 grand?
What people are getting out of an escape room is that they are entering a different world for an hour. And I think especially this year, it's been quite nice to escape our reality for a bit and be someone else.
Maybe you watching this still think that trying to convince a group of adults that they're actually stealing a diamond from an actual jewelry shop is a fool's errand. But if so, think again. According to a 2019 survey of escape room enthusiasts, the most popular themes for escape rooms related to either solving or doing crimes, while the least popular themes related to zombies and magic. So clearly, the more plausible you can make your room, the more people dig it. Now, how your Loot the Lanes experience actually begins is very interesting. After receiving your briefing, your host unexpectedly raps on the window looking like an empurpled Riddler and literally marches you down the street to the venue, joking the whole way.
I actually think that the host in your escape room is probably the single biggest influencer on how much fun a team has. All of our hosts, a lot of them are trained actors, so they'll come out and they'll be larger than life and they'll be bursting with enthusiasm, and that kind of gives people this is the sort of the way that you interact with an escape room. This is the way that you kind of throw yourself into it.
Turns out that the host in a high-class escape room is watching you and listening to you so much more than I thought, so that they can give you hints before you get frustrated.
I would maybe point you to have another snoop around the record shop, potentially.
to make sure you don't break stuff. That knife.
There's something in there. I'm not feeling great.
Tell them to stop stabbing them.
I say, one of those vents down to you.
But also, your host is watching you closely so that they can vibe with the tone of the room. At one point in our playthrough, the host called us up to give us a hint, and I said, okay.
Yeah. Go on, you have a go.
I hate this guy.
No, he's. I need help.
Hello. And the host replied,
Hello there. I must say I'm actually rather fond of you.
and in doing that, the host was able to brush aside my irritation and put a smile on my face. Maybe the thing that increased my respect for escape room hosts most of all was realizing how much of their job is watching people fail to do puzzles.
Look at the things you are holding.
I've been over there and I even said.
That was painful.
But we had to put them out.
We had to put them out of misery.
Finally, when Loot the Lanes ends, your host comes out and makes a point of reminding your team all the cool moments of comedy and teamwork that your team might have forgotten in the mad scramble to win the room. And also, they give you a little certificate stamped with these dinky little achievements.
People like to feel good about themselves, and just that simple fact, making someone feel good about themselves, actually has a lot of benefits for their cognition. They work faster, they can work better.
It's really great, I think, for the players, for the games host to be able to say, oh, I saw this happen, and do you remember when this happened? Oh, and you missed that thing for ages. You know, like that interaction at the end, it really kind of cements the experience in the mind of the people that have played it.
But apparently, even a veteran host is still going to be caught off guard from time to time.
I had a group who essentially simultaneously decided, in a sort of hive mind, that what they needed to do was to push all the windows in. Oh, we just shoved these in. Oh, okay, 1, 2, 3, psh, and I was like, no! And it was the start, I'm pretty sure I remember it being the start of a busy day, and I had about 20 minutes in between the game to try and fix all the windows.
No prizes for guessing that good puzzles are a key part of what makes an escape room good. But have you ever thought about what makes a puzzle good?
I'm a really big fan of putting stuff in sight, but making it so that people can't get to it straight away.
Which of course sat perfectly with the theme of Brighton's lanes.
And we were really excited by the possibility of having players being able to peer into the shop windows, you know, like an excited child just before Christmas, right? So we actually have some puzzles that play with that play with having to look into the shop windows and kind of peer in. And
oh my god, that's very cool. That's very cool. It lines up with the number 6.
To say that escape rooms are simply rooms full of puzzles is both true and completely missing the point. Puzzles in escape rooms are distinguished from puzzles in books or video games because they're physical, which means your very means of interacting with a puzzle can be a toy in and of itself. And Loot the Lanes is a toy box. From remote control cranes to a sample pad to a barcode scanner that our team had more fun with than is prudent to admit.
I mean, how do these work?
We also learned from peer pressure that it's wise for an escape room to require multiple people to input the answer to a puzzle, just because then players have someone to celebrate with when they're correct.
Yes! Yes!
You guys!
Yeah?
So excited and yet so wrong.
In my video game work, I came to see great puzzles as ones where you feel so clever when you solve them, but if you're in a group, it can perhaps be more important for a puzzle to simply elicit a response from the group, which creates a memorable moment for everybody. And that can come from something as goofy as luring a fake mouse with some plastic cheese.
Oh, okay, all right. A mouse and a key.
Of course it does. Finally, peer pressure taught me that great puzzles don't mean a thing if you don't also have flow.
Game flow is probably the most important. It keeps the excitement, it keeps the tension. You need people to keep moving in the escape rooms, to keep finding things to do. And it's a very tight balancing act. You need to get that right, that it's not too easy. So one thing isn't always leading to the next and it's super obvious, but you don't want them to finish something and then they go, right, now what?
So what are some basics of flow? Well, you're going to want your room to have lots of different puzzles for players to work on at any one point, so that everyone in a team has something to do themselves, but also so that if someone gets stuck on a puzzle, they can just go and do something else and aren't stuck bashing their head against the wall. But then if you've got a room that spreads your players out, you also need moments that bring them all back together again.
One of the puzzles that I'm really actually very proud of in that game is we have a thing, we call it the finger maze. The idea from it actually came from the old Romeo and Juliet movie, right? Where they're like Claire Danes and Leo DiCaprio walking along either side of a fish tank.
Also, when a puzzle is solved, you can't have the reward just be another puzzle.
When we give a reward, we'll want it to be a bit of a puzzle. And we'll want that bit of a puzzle to then get their mind racing as to what they can do with this thing. If it's the first bit of that puzzle they've discovered, then they'll find a new thing, they'll be excited, but they won't know what to do with it. But then they might uncover the third or the fourth element of it and go, right, I've seen this before. And they'll link the items together, and that keeps the energy and the excitement and the all-important flow moving.
Often the best reward of all is a brand new room with a whole new vibe, gifting players with the raw thrill of discovery. Wow, oh my god, this is awesome! Holy kittens!
Our ultimate goal would be a team finishing with about 30 seconds to spare. Because that's the sweet spot. That's where everyone's going, oh my god, we won, yay!
I learned so much talking to Peer Pressure, and they left me with one very exciting thought, and that was that theirs wasn't the way to make a great escape room, but only one way.
Most escape rooms, they're built by the people that own them, they're independent and fiercely so. They reflect the creativity, ideas and imagination of totally and wildly different people.
If you want to help us keep growing and keep telling stories, I've got a surprise for you. The entire 70-minute video of Chris and me playing Loot the Lanes is available right now to all backers of our Patreon. Holy kittens! And that's not all. If you back at a level that's slightly higher than the lowest level you can back, you get access to cool regular features like Bad Idea House, where Chris and me discuss the ideas we wanted to turn into stories but couldn't, sometimes because those ideas were bad. And also the Patreon show, in which Chris takes you behind the scenes to tell you what's going on with the channel, which is very useful as I often have no idea. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and please consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/peoplemakegames.
You could not
They're
have
just
done more.
walking backwards and forwards past it. That's amazing.
Where did that come from? Oh, look, Chris, you dingus. Yeah, you go. the amount of times they're slapping the lot. Here you go, it's Mr. Egypt.
Oh, I'll get those scans.
Mr. England.
Oh, and another.
Remember to scan the monuments in the correct order. If unsure, consult shop record height. A clue. A clue I didn't need. But probably did, if I'm honest. Ow!